Good morning, everyone. Kia koto, Alzbeta Bouskova Houghton. I was planning to come in here with lots of energy and inspiration, and especially following on Julie and Scott's presentation. You know, they're quite inspiring people. But over the last 24 hours or 48 hours in COP29, what happened was that there were 30 countries that signed a declaration on reducing methane emissions from food waste. And guess what? New Zealand is not one of them. And for someone like me who has dedicated their life and life's purpose into tackling food waste emissions and food waste in general, this is like a kick in the guts. And then hearing Scott's presentation, how just frustrating it is that this government is literally turning around and walking backwards in all the good work that has been done in the past. And forgive me if I'm feeling a bit fragile at this point in time. You will hear a lot about food and food waste and the opportunity that we have as a country around food waste. I'll try and brilliant. And I've centered on the food waste industry as such because it's a big portion of our country's economy and our country's revenue. So I'm not going to go through the numbers, but our country produces an enormous amount of food. We're a country of 5 million, but we are actually feeding 40 million of humans around the world with the products that we have. So a very important sector in our economy. But that sector is standing on quite a fragile grounds because the sector uses 30% of our primary energy, 21 petajoules of gas, 20 petajoules of electricity, and also we are importing 75%. Okay. Oh, you can't hear me. Oh, okay. I'll try and hold it closer to my face. That's all good. That's fine. Thank you. But we're also importing 75% of fertilizers to essentially carry the production of the food in the country. So I don't know, I'm probably preaching to the converted here, but as a country, we are running out of gas, which is good. We don't want to rely on fossil gas, but those stores are diminishing quite rapidly. And without a pretty fast decarbonization of the food sector, we're going to be in all sorts of trouble. The other thing is the other graph is showing our reliance on the fertilizer prices. And as you can see, our fertilizer price just literally matches the UK's fertilizer price. So there's a massive exposure to us as a country on relying on the imported fertilizers. So what I mean by the malnutrition in the title of the section, our food industry is running out of energy and nutrients, and that's a definition of undernutrition. So that was just a bit of a play on word, but what it's leading to is impaired physical and cognitive development and weakened immune system. So we're going to be forever more fragile and exposed, and our food sector is at risk of declining. We've heard a lot about Denmark, and this is not a coincidence. It's a country that has seemed to have got it all right and get it all correct. So just to draw a bit of a parallel between New Zealand and Denmark, we're both reasonably island countries, very export-driven, a lot of agriculture and dairy especially. We've got a very highly skilled workforce and reasonably high GDP. So there's a lot of similarities. But Denmark is currently running 40% of renewable gas in their pipeline, and they're on a strong pathway towards achieving 100% of renewable gas in their pipelines by 2029. Whereas New Zealand, 0.06%. And that's only due to something that happened 2 weeks ago. We started producing renewable gas from food waste in Reparoa and started injecting it into the natural gas grid down in Reparoa. So that's your 0.06%. So there's a lot of similarities, but also a stark contrast. And what they do they employ a process called anaerobic digestion. Who knows what anaerobic digestion is? Right, fantastic. I'll, in a short term, essentially organic food waste or food-based waste can be processed through a biological process called anaerobic digestion, which is very similar to what happens in cows' stomachs. So it's a ruminant biodegradation and producing biomethane or biogas, which is a mixture of methane and carbon dioxide. And at the other end, you get liquid fertilizer called digestate. The biogas can be used in multiple sources, in multiple ways. It can be used to produce heat, electricity. The CO2 can be stripped off and can be utilized as a food grade CO2 or industrial grade. Or the biogas or biomethane can be liquefied into vehicle fuel as well. The biofertilizer has got highly plant available nutrients, and because it's in a soluble form, so but it also contains residual carbon, so it's highly regenerative into for agriculture. So how does this system, how does this process work or fit into the economy? In the anaerobic digestion technology has been used for about 5 decades now. There's about 20,000 plants around Europe alone. And so it's a well-adopted and well-developed technology to use. In most of the world, this was grown mostly on energy subsidies. So a lot of countries committed to producing more renewable gas and renewable energy, subsidized that gas, and then they developed that and enabled the growth of the industry in their countries. In Denmark, they took it a lot more holistically, as they do. They essentially recognized that manure from animal housing is a big problem for them. And they've developed a whole scope of legislation which basically dictated the industry that manure should be collected and processed in anaerobic digestion. The gas was, again, subsidized for energy use, for renewable energy use, but they also mandated the use of the biofertilizer as a primary source of nutrients in the country. So they took the whole holistic approach, and then little by little, when they needed, they pivoted from producing renewable electricity into renewable gas as the technology became more advanced. And so they took it a lot more holistically, and they've got a very balanced approach. In New Zealand, this technology is going to stand and fall on the inputs, and that's essentially gate fees from the food waste. Currently, councils and businesses have to pay for disposal at landfills, and so to develop an anaerobic digestion facility in New Zealand, you would have to charge gate fees that are cheaper, hopefully cheaper than landfill, to provide an incentive. But those gate fees will essentially carry the business case for anaerobic digestion plant. I'm going to race through this. So where we are as a country, we've got, that got really loud. Where we as a country, the previous government put forward a waste strategy that was mandating organic waste diversion from landfills and mandated the separate collection of food waste for councils. That bill has been, or that strategy has been put on hold, but it doesn't look like it's going to be executed by this government. We have been able to develop a biofertilizer certification scheme, and as I mentioned, we've got the first renewable gas also going into the grid. And I'll just jump to this next picture. So that's the first food waste anaerobic digestion facility in Reparoa, run by Ecogas, and that's designed to process 75,000 tons of food waste into heat, electricity. We also supply CO2 into the glass house. You can see it in the background. There's a Tennyson Growers glass house growing tomatoes. So the CO2 is going to be supplied to the glass house. And we're also producing biomethane, 100,000 gigajoules of biomethane going into the natural gas grid, which is about 400 meters down the road. The food waste is collected from Auckland Council, from Tauranga Council, and also from commercial and industrial producers around pretty much just the whole of North Island. The Bioenergy Association, so we've done one step in the right direction. The Bioenergy Association has put together a strategy and targeting a gradual increase of these biomethane or biogas plants in New Zealand. And hopefully by 2050, we'll be able to produce the equivalent of 20 petajoules of biogas or biomethane. What's really important here is the I think that sort of goes along with what Scott was saying. We don't have an alignment around the political parties, and the flip-flopping between the strategies is really unhelpful. So whilst we were on the path of potentially getting more investment into these facilities on the back of the mandated food waste diversion, that's now been scrapped. And there will be a lot of people asking, well, what about the gas? We're now going back to exploring gas. So what's the driver for producing renewable gas if we're going to be drilling again? So I think where the key message for me, and it's a shame that Scott had to leave, but it would be, and Denmark has done it really well. So it's about the cross-political party agreement. Because if we're going to be flip-flopping like this, no one's going to invest into these facilities. And then achieve this plant costs $40 million. And if you have to invest that sort of cash into a project, you want to know that someone's not going to pull the rug out from underneath your feet in the next election cycle. So that's kind of, and just back to the Danish situation, they've got 13 political parties in their government, and their political system is set up so that all the key strategies had to be signed by at least 10 out of the 13 parties, so that when the preferences change, the key strategies remain. So that's, for me, kind of the answer. I don't think it's achievable with the current political spectrum we have, but it's something to perhaps think about and aspire. So I think that's where I would wrap up now. Hopefully it was interesting. Thank you.
We've got 2 minutes if someone has a question that they can get out in a short amount of time and that you think could be answered in 2 minutes. Anybody? Is there anything online, Michael?
No, but I've got a question. The argument has always been in New Zealand that we don't house our cattle over winter, so we don't, the method of collecting waste from agriculture is different in New Zealand, and so we can't kind of follow the European model. I just wondered if you had comments on that.
That's definitely a sector where it has been developed on in the European countries, but at the moment only about 5% of all food waste is being collected separately around the world. So imagine, and every one of us produce about 60 kilos of food waste every year, and coincidentally that's how much I weigh. So this amount of food waste goes to landfill at the moment every day. So that we may not have access to manure, but we've got a lot of food waste. And we've got a lot of food waste in the household, and the food industry produces a lot of byproducts and a lot of out-of-spec products that need to go somewhere. And at the moment, they're going to landfill. So, we're not going to go through the manure pathway, but we definitely have an opportunity to go through the food waste and tackle food waste emissions as we go. Thank you.
Thanks, Alzbeta.